Joining us now for World Brief and the review of some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Ijebu girl, Adefemi Akisoya.
Good morning. We're going to have to change my name to that. I just feel as though it's fitting, to be honest. Good morning to you, Dr. Rubin. Good morning, Ion. Good morning, Rufai. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. Yeah?
Yes. Yeah.
Very, very good. All right.
Lagos on top.
Lagos on top. Well done. I know. They did very well this weekend, didn't they? Very well. But let me tell you what's happening around the world. Now, Japan. Japan is inching closer to making history. That's as Sanae Takaichi has been elected leader of the ruling Liberal Democrat Party, clearing her path to becoming the country's first woman prime minister. Now, her conservative, nationalistic agenda and calls for constitutional reform, stronger defence and tougher stances on immigration policy have already rattled markets and regional neighbours. Now, if officially confirmed by Parliament, Takaichi's leadership could signal a market shift in Japan's domestic and foreign policy. Well, we're going from one woman in power to another. Kemi Badenoch has laid out one of her most aggressive immigration plans yet. Now, this weekend, she proposed creating a removals force to deport 150,000 individuals a year. And she also signalled a willingness to quit the European Convention on Human Rights to bypass legal constraints. This is a move that critics warn could alienate conservative moderates and fracture her party's already fragile unity. Meanwhile, internal allies, including those of Robert Jenrick, who you're seeing on the screen there, are said to be quietly rallying votes of no confidence in a bid to oust Badenoch as party leader. Now, before we went into the weekend, we were looking ahead to Sean Diddy Combs' sentence, which has now been confirmed as 50 months in federal prison following his conviction on charges of transporting individuals for prostitution. Now, in addition to the prison time, Diddy also faces a $500,000 fine and 5 years of supervised release. Now, after he was acquitted on the more serious racketeering and sex trafficking counts, his legal team had hoped that he'd be released by the end of the year. Though lighter than the 11 years sought after by the prosecution, this ruling and the 4-year sentence marks a significant blow in the music mogul's reputation and career. And finally, at least 24 Palestinians were killed by Israel in Gaza on Sunday. That is as peace negotiations are set to begin today in Egypt. Now, US President Donald Trump, who brokered the deal, had this to say on Truth Social. Now, he says that there have been many very positive discussions with Hamas and countries from all over the world. I mean, he said Arab, Muslims and everyone else this weekend to release the hostages and end the war in Gaza. But more importantly, finally, there's been a long-sought peace in the Middle East. These talks have been very successful and he says they've been proceeding rapidly. Now, the technical teams will again meet today in Egypt to work through and clarify the final details. Now, he says that he's told that the first phase should be completed this week and he's asking everyone to move fast. He'll continue to monitor this century-old conflict. Time is of the essence, he said. Massive bloodshed will continue if we don't do something. And essentially, that is something that nobody wants to see. Meanwhile, another update in the Middle East, we are seeing that at least 29 flotilla activists have been released by Israel's foreign ministry. They said that those activists who have Spanish, Portuguese and Dutch citizenship have actually been deported now to Spain. You remember that hundreds had been detained by Israeli forces who said that they had mistreated them while they were in detention. Now, what we're seeing on the screen is a split screen of Gaza today and Gaza 5 years ago, 4 years ago, some in 2020, some in 2021, just to show the ugliest side of war when you're looking at what destruction can cause. Let's go on to our newspapers. As always, we begin with the newspaper of record, This Day. Now, This Day does lead with Nigeria's upstream petroleum regulator reporting sweeping gains in the oil and gas sector, announcing a 762% rise in rig count alongside billions of dollars in new investments and major reforms 4 years after its establishment. The NUPRC says its achievements since the passage of the PIA, the Petroleum Industry Act, has restored investor confidence confidence, curb crude theft, and position Nigeria for long-term energy growth. Meanwhile, to the top of this day, we do see that we have the Dangote refinery lauding President Tinubu, the National Security Advisor Nuhu Rubadu, and the Director General of the DSS, that's the Department of State Services, Oluwatosin Ajayi, for their roles in settling this dispute with Pengassan, which may not be over. Let's move on to the Daily Independent this morning. Now, the Daily Independent reports that the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has demanded that all 36 governors and the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, publicly disclose how they have spent the trillions of naira received from fuel subsidy savings since the policy's removal in 2023. SERAP warned that there is a significant risk of mismanagement, diversion of public funds, and reckless spending on non-essential luxuries, while millions of Nigerians continue to face worsening poverty, unpaid salaries, and a lack of access to basic social services. Now, two stories catch my eye on The Punch. Let's take a look at The Punch. The lead reports that some retired senior military officers have backed the call by the former Chief of Staff, General Lucky Irabor, for the declaration of a state of emergency to address effectively this Boko Haram issue and insurgency that we're seeing across northern parts of the country, nationwide. And there's also a report over the concern of the absence of Fubara's loyalists during a closed-door meeting between Governor Sim Fubara and his political mentor, of course, the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike, marking the second time such a peace gathering was reportedly taken on and dominated by Wike's camp. Let's take a look at the New Telegraph. The New Telegraph does lead with the ongoing effort for peace among politicians from Rivers State, as Wike, as I said, leads this reconciliation meeting with Fubara. The Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Martin Amahule. The letter just come flying out, and members of the Rivers State Elders Council in attendance. Let's go on to the Vanguard. The Vanguard this morning, it does report on World Teachers Day, which was October 5th, Sunday, and the paper reports on the Nigerian Labour Congress demanding a living wage for teachers in need, while the federal government also honoured outstanding teachers and schools. Now, for example, Solanke Francis Taiwo of Ansar Uddin Main School in Kemta, Abeokuta, Ogun State won the Best Teacher Award for outstanding commitment to nurturing young minds and driving academic excellence. Just once again, Ogun State leading the pack. I mean, what can I say? Leadership newspaper. Let's take a look at that. Pressure is mounting now on the Minister of Science and Technology and Innovation, Uche Nnaji, to resign from his cabinet position over an alleged certificate forgery. That's as the Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Centre and Transparency International in Nigeria have called on him to resign and apologize to the nation. Also, let's go to the Daily Trust. It does actually take on this story too. This time it's looking at the perspective of the minister himself. He has admitted that the university he attended, or said he attended, University of Nigeria, Nsukka, never issued him with a degree certificate. Now, this admission is in line with the findings of a 2-year investigation by Premium Times, which found that the certificate submitted to President Tinubu and the Senate during his ministerial confirmation hearing was a fraud. So, I mean, he's admitted that it's not, I don't know why you don't have a correct document. I mean, okay.
What was the kind of screening they did for these ministers? Where's the DSS that screened him? You see, because I remember in this country, they claimed that El Rufai did not pass security screening. That's why I never got the position. But it's now obvious that that screening was a political screening. Because if the security authorities never even corresponded with the schools to check the certificates ministers brought, it's a shame on Tinubu's administration. It's a shame on these governments. Only for President Tinubu recently to be saying that people that have forged certificates in administration, they should fish them as civil servants. Today, now, his minister that is screened in his cabinet forged certificates. That admission, Uche Nnaji has not openly come out to speak. It was an admission in the court deposition because, he was trying to use the court to even block the investigative journalists from Premium Times. Yeah. At first, there had been a case of conniving with the school. When People's Gazette, and I give kudos to People's Gazette and Premium Times today, because they did this work, it's their work. Other newspapers can splash it, but it's People's Gazette and Premium Times. When People's Gazette first rose a couple of years ago, the school, a registrar signed a letter saying that, he actually did come to the school. They lied. But when the panel of inquiry was set up, that person, the registrar, said no, that it was a false information that was given. He used the courts to try to stop the process. We condemn judiciary and everything, at least we support the judiciary in this one, that this process did not go ahead. And he tried everything, but the investigation came out and it came out openly. He didn't only forge school certificates, he forged NYSC. Because there's no how. He went to the school, but he didn't finish. But he got certificates. Microbiology and biochemistry. That was even funny in the first place. Then he said he claimed he did NYSC, he also forged NYSC certificate. Because the head of NYSC at the time, that was written on his NYSC certificate, that same person was not NYSC, was not in charge of NYSC then.
At that time.
It was a year after. So you can see the shame on this guy. When we now talk about corruption and certificate forgery, people will say, no, don't talk. It's the shame not on this Tinubu's government. Let me move on to Kemi. You see, we are not surprised. When politicians are failing, they go for the easy targets, which is migration. This morning, while I was jogging, I took out time to listen to Enoch Powell's speech in the 60s about the rivers of blood, where he was pushing against immigration. After the British underlined this word, in the 40s, when they saw the economy was struggling after the war, they brought in migrants to build their economy. But in the 60s, when the economy started to reflate, the same migrants that they brought in to build the economy was a problem. Till today, the Windrush, they never certified them as British. They never gave them the papers that they needed. So it is what Kemi Badenoch is doing, because she knows she has failed. She knows the Conservative Party today is at an all-time low. If the elections are done today, I was checking the YouGov poll, I'm not sure Conservative Party will get up to 100 or 150 seats. So she goes for the height of evil, is to say she wants to have her own eyes. The same Kemi Badenoch that Keir Starmer brought forward an idea. Let's even have documentation, digital IDs. She was protesting against that idea. Now she wants an ICE force to go on the streets and be captured. The question we should ask Kemi is, how is she going to pay for it? How practical is it? And Kemi went ahead to say she wants to remove England from the European Human Rights Commission. You can see the height of the madness that is going on. Only to think Kemi herself is a migrant. If Enoch Powell's wishes had come true, does Kemi think in her wildest dream she will have a British passport today?
That's the question.
Very true. All right, so I hope that Britain will learn the lessons from Brexit, Adefemi. I remember that Nigel Farage, who is now #1 on the polls through his Reform Party, was championing, one of the lead champions of Brexit at the time. And now we can see them counting the cost and even contemplating a return to the European Union. I say this as a result of Kemi Badenoch, leader of the Conservative Party, her suggestion or her proposal her proposal to withdraw the United Kingdom from the European Convention on Human Rights because of her new proposal on tackling immigration. I think it's important for them to learn lessons from that. Yes, some sound bites may sound good, but ultimately, when you look at the impact, one of the things that has held the United Kingdom up, especially in the area of human rights and their treatment of asylum seekers and refugees, is their signing or ratifying and being members of part of the European Commission on Human Rights. And I think it would be quite sad for them to take themselves out. It's not just about immigration. There are many other human rights provisions that it looks into. So I hope that they would really learn lessons that when it comes to politics, these leaders, in order to gain political ground and favor, would make noise or make promises that would ultimately not benefit the British people. So I hope they will learn lessons from that. Priti Patel, the Shadow Secretary of State for Foreign Affairs, has come out to say, oh no, it's not going to be like ICE because the laws in England and the makeup of the United Kingdom is different from America. But in the document itself, they did refer to ICE. And as you've already mentioned, there are already criticisms around the way that ICE has handled its affairs in the United States of America. But I do think that what the Conservatives, not just Kemi Badenoch, are looking for is relevance again and winning the hearts of the British people. And one of the ways they think they can do this is through immigration and coming really hard on immigration, forgetting that immigration became worse in terms of illegal migrants coming through the boats under the Conservative government, not under the Labour Party. So if they couldn't do it then, I don't know what it is that they're promising now that they can do better. Now, coming back home to Nigeria, in the newspaper headlines, we talked about the others, Dangote, and we looked at NUPRC earlier on during news. But one thing I would like to center on is a Vanguard report on the state of our education. And this is in light of yesterday, October 5 being World Teachers' Day. The labor unions have called for better welfare for teachers in Nigeria. They've also highlighted the issues we have around brain drain for teachers and the quality of students we bring out as a result of that. They also look at the cost of education and the fact that if we're not careful, we're playing with our future, because education, particularly basic education, primary education, is being threatened at the moment as a result of these myriad of issues. Well, happy Teachers' Day, and thank you to all the teachers who have continued working despite the conditions in Nigeria.
Absolutely.
Okay, very quickly, Kemi Badenoch, obviously is a fan of Donald Trump. She's trying to reproduce, proposing in the United Kingdom, in Britain, something similar to Radical Borders Plan, which would set up a removal force and that can take out about 15,000 people from England, on a yearly basis. And she says that, look, if you come to England and you are not qualified to be there, you'll be sent back immediately. The anchors in the British television have been asking her, where would they go? And she said, don't ask me that question. They can go wherever they like, but don't come here. So ultra-right, conservative, extremist view in terms of illegal migration. And she criticized not just the Labour government, but also the conservative government. Asylums will be stopped, hotels will be closed, and, human rights acts will be violated and all of that. But so far, it's a personal opinion. Auntie Jemima, who is herself is an immigrant, going after immigrants. Isn't that the same irony, the same model, bad example that has been set in the United States by President Donald Trump? However, whatever she's proposing will still have to get parliamentary approval.
Yes.
And it is not written in gold. But, I think she likes the publicity she gets from her provocative comments. That's all there is to it. And I hope that even if she gets parliamentary approval, she will not start by targeting the Nigerian community that she's most familiar with. What
Very
is that constituency that she comes from? But I don't think she will succeed. It's just talk, political talk. As for Uche, the minister, well, there's a letter in circulation, December 31, 2023, issued by the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, confirming that he actually graduated from the university. Now, there's something called perjury in Nigerian laws. You can't claim what you do not have on oath. If you claim it on oath, then you are guilty of perjury. Now, did he do that? 2, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has enough structures in place to investigate whether the man is qualified in terms of his claims or not. The DSS is there, the NSA's office is there, the NIA is there. They are all there. They can do the investigation. However, you do not need to even have a degree to be a minister in Nigeria. School start fail. It's enough. The bigger question is about the quality of recruitment into positions of leadership in Nigeria. You can even be a president of Nigeria without having a traceable certificate at any level. That is the issue. So everybody is saying, Uche Naji, he doesn't have a certificate. He doesn't have a degree. No. He doesn't have to have a degree.
He forged.
He forged. Okay.
There's a difference between doesn't have and he
That's
forged.
why I talked about
forgery.
That's why I talked about perjury. Perjury.
Yeah.
You don't claim what you don't have. Yeah. Perjury and forgery, they are, on all fours. So, but it's a matter of what you claim on oath. So it's about responsibility. But the bigger issue is about the quality of recruitment at all levels. As for Sake Tinachi in Japan, the first female to emerge as the leader of the Liberal Democratic Party for the first time in 55 years. Now, The question is, everybody is celebrating. This is symbolic. A woman is going to become prime minister. If she becomes prime minister, what will be agenda? I think that's the question everybody should be asking. Because this is Takaishi, who is coming with what they call Abenomics. She's a disciple of Shinzo Abe.
Yes.
Under whom she served as minister in 5 different, ministries. Now, government spending a lot of stimulus. So we expect in Japan, when she assumes office, that there will be a new direction in terms of monetary policy. People are also expecting that she'll be very fair to women. But this is a woman who is an ultra-conservative, far-right.
Yes.
And she doesn't support women becoming empresses of Japan. She supports family values. So the expectations may be slightly overplaced. But at a symbolic level, it looks good to have a woman as Prime Minister of Japan taking over from what's his name again? Shigeru.
Yes.
Shigeru Ishiba.
Shigeru Ishiba, taking over from him. But the future, in terms of the economy, is what is important, because Japan is weak at this moment economically. Although with the announcement of Takashi, the stock market went on. Nikkei 225 improved by over 4% overnight. Well, not enough time to deal with all the other issues. You have a long list. But maybe I should just
tomorrow.
Don't worry. As for Gaza, we'll see what happens. The meeting will start today. Trump says it's urgent, but Israel faithful?